When we look at what's happening with the market, we're getting Microsoft earnings right now, and there might be a healthy little bounce. And one of the things that I do want traders to remember is just like we saw in Boeing today, just like we saw in Netflix some time back, any kind of strength, I do believe in this market, we are on the flip side of buy the dip, and it's sell the rip. So if we do rip higher, I do think the closer we get to 108.80, heck, even the closer we get to about this Darvis level here at 107, we start to see, I believe, some selling pressure coming in. And, you know, if we were looking at this on a 1 minute time frame here, where would we look at the VWAP from a selling perspective? Where would we look for the volume weighted average price to kick in? Right up in there, 107.80 to about almost 110. So I would actually look at this area here, 107.80 to about 108 and change. And if we continue to rally, that would be, this is after hours, of course, but that would be a zone that I would anticipate the market finding resistance in. Now I bring up Microsoft because when we talk about what's happening with the equities index futures and the kind of sell-off we saw here, you know, we have finally, and I think convincingly, smashed the 200 period exponential moving average, which I use as simpler trading propulsion dots, free indicator available on Thinkorswim, TradingView, TradeStation, you know, so I do believe that we finally smashed this 200 to a degree where it's done. You know, to me, the south side of that 200 is the weak side. And sure, Microsoft could carry the NASDAQ and carry the S&P a little bit higher. By the way, is it? Take a look at the S&P, take a look at the NAS. Are we getting any kind of significant bounce whatsoever? Hardly, hardly. So what are some of the things that are right now holding the S&P or the NASDAQ up, if you even think they're still being held up, which I don't think they are. When I say being held up, I mean supported. Are they really being supported? Or what is really the catalyst for what could be a much more significant move to the downside? Gang, it's going to be when names like Apple roll over. I think we can already probably, I don't know if it's an argument, but we could probably say that Microsoft is looking as much as a very, very, very fresh downtrend as it could possibly look. And I think a close below 100.5 would seal the deal. So that's what's happening here on the daily chart of Microsoft. So that's what's happening. So if we get Apple and Microsoft rolling over, and why those two names? Because Amazon already has. So people keep asking me, Raghee, when could this really start to accelerate? Please hear me out. I'm not talking about 07, 08, but I am talking about more weakness. Amazon's, if you notice here, right on the cusp of its 200. So even though Amazon is arguably in a downtrend now, take a look at the green propulsion dots, which represent the 8-period exponential moving average, crossing the 21. It still has not crossed its 200. So there's probably still an argument that Amazon could have a little bit of a bounce. But once Microsoft, once Amazon, and then eventually once Apple roll over, and Apple really is the one that's last at the moment. Okay, Apple is actually holding up pretty darn well on that daily time frame. But if and when Apple starts to roll, that's when things get really ugly for the S&P and the NASDAQ and for tech in general. Which is why I've been mentioning that names like XLK, QQQ, XLY, so tech, and consumer discretionary, we want to start thinking about holding on to less. You know, look at a name that was up very strongly today, utilities. Look at that. The Dow accelerated to the downside. Utilities closed near their highs. So when people ask me, where is the rotation? Utilities, staples, even healthcare. Healthcare lagged a little bit here today. But generally speaking, that's where your rotation is. And that rotation really does confirm the bearishness that I see and why I feel if names like Apple start to roll over, say through 210, if Amazon breaks the 200 EMA, if Microsoft breaks the 100 level, and it's 200 EMA. This is where things really get cooking. And this is where I also say this downtrend isn't done, gang. So if you're thinking, oh my gosh, I've missed a move, I don't believe you have, gang. I don't believe you have. I think there's still more to come. Be patient. We're going to spend a whole lot more time talking about the whole sell the rips. No more buy the dips, gang. It's about selling the dips.